Okay, so for today, we're going to have an overview of quality matters, and we'll look at the importance or the reason or the need to be quality matters. Quality matters, and that's the rubric, which is the handout which you guys have in hand. When it comes to the rubric, we're going to look at the key features of the QM rubric. We're also going to look at the peer review and at each other's online course to make sure that it meets certain standards. Look at the course peer review process. We're also going to look at the rubric scoring, and then we'll wrap up with the principles of effective online course design and principles of effective online teaching. Now, screen.
Yes.
Okay.
You want the lights down?
Let's try that. Let's try that.
It's a little bitty writing.
It's the size of the font.
So y'all read it.
If I were to increase the font. Let's try to dim the lights or turn the lights off and see.
Yeah, the first slide, the first set.
Okay. Issue the last time we used this room.
This whole thing is awful.
Yes.
Didn't you say you're gonna give us handouts for this? This program you're doing, are you giving a handout for that?
Yes, I didn't make enough handouts.
That's why I was telling them, they'll get a handout.
Yeah,
So
everyone will have a copy of the handouts. Everyone.
not yet.
Will that be on there?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. No, it's going to be on the online course itself. Okay. So please, for those of you who cannot see the screen, I do apologize for that. Just kind of try to follow along with us. And again, as I said a while ago, this is being recorded, so you're going to have you're going to be able to watch the entire session later on. So when it comes to the quality of online courses, quality matters is the assurance lead. In other words, is the organization which has taken the lead when it comes to ensuring that online courses or the content in our online courses meets quality standards. Quality matters is all about continuous improvement. So they have in place a continuous improvement. You never can really attain perfection. So there's always the need to do something. And so that's why it's all about continuous improvement. It's a faculty review process. So it's something which happens amongst faculty in the spirit of collegiality. So you take a look at my online course and see if it meets certain norms and standards. And that's really because if I were to design my online course, I may think that I've done an excellent job, a fantastic job. But then there may be something missing. So it will require a second pair of eyes or some other person to look over my shoulder or to take a look at it and be able to look at it from a different perspective. The review process is done in amongst colleagues, not amongst the competitors or rivals. No, it's a non-profit organization, which of course is based in Maryland. It's a peer-based approach, as I said, among faculty, and the purpose is that of improving student learning outcomes. I want to ensure that when students enroll in your course, they're able to achieve all of the stated outcomes. You want to make sure that your course is designed and that way students have when they enroll in your course. Quality Matters is based on national standards of and so Quality Matters is based on national standards of best practices It is grounded in research and literature. So before they came up with the rubric, which you guys research, and even after having done the research over so many years, there's ongoing the 6th edition of the rubric. Prior to the 6th edition, they had, of course, the first. So what that in the literature to go back and update the rubric to ensure that the standards or the courses which are being designed at that point in time reflect the current norms. It's also based on instructional design principles. And again, as we said a while ago, the underlying purpose or goal of Quality Matters is that of ensuring that have a mastery of the learning outcomes. And so in that regard, Quality Matters puts learners first. About it, not the teacher, not the expertise, not my qualification. It's all about the learner. The design of online courses based on Quality Matters standard centered learner focus, not content focus. So it's not about me completing my syllabus, but it's about me designing my course in such a way that when a learner enrolls in that class, when a student enrolls in the course, more or less set for the student to complete or successfully complete the student learning outcomes. And so Quality Matters puts learners first, a lot of emphasis on learners or students. So why should institutions or colleges opt to become a QM or opt to be institutions opt to bear the logo or the that Texas College should become or has become a Quality Matters institution? One, better course design. Again, any institution out there which is going to offer courses online, courses which are being designed following certain norms and best practices. Another important why institutions want to adhere to Quality Matters standards is that of accreditation. If a college or university has an online program and SACS were to come and review that program, if the college simply tells SACS that they are a QM institution, that's a done deal. SACS will be like, you guys are fine, you're good to go. They will not even bother coming over because, again, as we said a while ago, when it comes to best practices in online, is the gold standard. And so that's why it will be advisable and important for institutions to become Quality Matters certified because it will positively impact or influence their accreditation process. Quality Matters also makes it possible for institutions to conduct what we term internal assessments. So once a college or institution embarks on becoming a QM institution, faculty get involved in the course design process, they get involved in the peer review process. And so internal assessment, because it's like I get to assess your course and you get to assess mine. So that gives us something more. Articulation agreements. If a college or institution were to get into some articulation agreement with another institution, and they simply tell that institution, we are a QM institution, we are Quality Matters certified. Which are QM certified, you have faculty who know how to create or design online courses, who know how to deliver online courses. And so it makes it, it positively influences or impacts the process of getting to institutions. Professional development activities. Last year or a couple of years back, we didn't have something like this going on. Now that this institution has become a Quality Matters institution, sessions like this can be deemed or used as a professional development activities because we are more or less learning something new or adding something to our portfolio. Improve student retention. You have a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Who makes decision that Texas College is
Sure.
No, right now you are. Right. If Texas College were not a QM institution, we would not be talking about this, let alone use their logo. So,
they have some certificate or?
what happens is, if you want to become a QM institution, you apply. So, okay, I want to become a QM institution. I want to adopt your standards, and for that my reflect the stipulated by QM. So once you make that application or you submit that application, QM goes through the application and pretty much you're accepted or admitted, and of course you get to pay your dues and then follow suit with the different training sessions. If you have more questions in that regard, you may want to check with the VP, Dr. Taylor. So we're looking at how quality matters, why an institution should become a QM institution, and retention. Once a student enrolls, go through that learning process successfully, and they kind of get to accomplish or achieve the student learning outcomes, to refer other students to the same course or take courses of the same department, the same institution. That ultimately enhances or increases the student retention, which of course for institutions which depend a lot more on tuition. So if an institution were to do anything to increase student retention, then it's worth. Those are some of the reasons why colleges or institutions want to become QM certified or QM institutions. So why would a faculty, why would instructors or professors like you and myself want to become QM certified? Course improvement again. By becoming QM certified, you get to be exposed to the norms, to the course standards which must be implemented in your online course. That ultimately your course content. It also improves the quality assurance, comes in, validates best practices in online learning. As we said at the beginning, QM certified faculty, and that your QM best practices, norms, and standards. Then it validates the fact that you're implementing most of the best practices in online learning. It reduces redundant procedural questions. If you've ever had to teach an online course before, or a hybrid course, or maybe just put out some material on the learning management system, and go to your eraser and download the handout or the assignment, more than likely students will come up with questions. Where's the file found? I went all over the place in this, I could not locate the file. And so those are instances in which you are having to go back and do the repeat follow the norms and best practices of online course design, located the material of handout on JIT. You finding yourself in a situation where two students come back to you every now and then for the same issue, because it's instructions are well laid out. There's a video giving them instructions as to where to locate either the handout or the manual. They no longer will be required to come to it because there's not going to be any issues. More time teaching because you're not having to address or repeat answers to the same questions many times. You spend more time reading assignments or responding to questions having to do with the content or the lessons. And so that's why it would be important or advantageous for any faculty to opt or to take the opportunity certified faculty. Now, why QM for students? Why is it important for students to be in an institution which is QM certified, or for students to be enrolled in a course which has been designed by a faculty who is QM certified, course following best online practices and norms? As we said a while ago, in as far as QM is concerned, the learning process is learner-centered, student-centered. So when I design my course, or when you design your course following QM standards and norms, it's all about the student, the learner. It's not about you displaying your know-how. You don't know. That is not to mean that you're not qualified. No. It's not about you. No, it's about you ensuring that at the end of the semester or the term, the student has a lot more to take away from your course. Following the best practices and norms in online course design will ensure that there's a user-friendly navigation menu within your course. A student will not be on multiple places document. Another aspect is accessibility. By following best practices and norms to ensure that your content or are readily accessible to not just a specific group of students, but students of category students of varying degrees. If the course is laid out with ample instructions to let the student know exactly what to do, where to go, then there's a sense in which they get to start your course or class on the very first day of school a lot more easily, as opposed to an instance or situation where there's not enough instructions or guidelines. Reduce frustration. It happens to all of us. If you go to a website and you can't find something you're looking for, you get frustrated. Same with students. If you send students to your find what you have discussed in class, they easily become frustrated. Students, for the most part, almost always have an excuse for something. Now you don't want to give them that ammunition. You don't want to give them reasons to complain. You don't want to put them in a situation where they will get frustrated. And so by designing your online course to adhere to the norms and standards of QM, you're more or less ensuring that the rate at which students get frustrated is reduced, because the content will be readily accessible. By following best, create an environment in which the students are a lot more engaged in the online course or throughout the learning process. And then the QM rubric ensures that there's the alignment of learning objectives and outcomes. So you don't have student learning outcomes stated and then objectives. Sorry, you don't have objectives and outcomes which are not aligned, which are not you don't find yourself in a situation where the outcome is talking about something different, and ultimately all of that will enhance the students' online learning experience and result to success in your online course. And so it's not just important for an institution to become QM certified or that faculty of that institution should become benefits the students who are students of that institution and students who get to be enrolled in your courses or the courses you get to teach. Any Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the QM rubric. And when it comes to quality matters, when it comes to designing your online course, when it comes to your course being a QM certified course, this is where it depends on the rubric, and that's the document which you guys have in hand. Again, for those of us who do not have the handout, I'm going to get copies. I'll make sure you guys have copies during the short break. So when it comes to the QM rubric, actually QM has about 5 different rubrics. There's a rubric where for instructors, for colleges and universities, we go with the QM Higher Education rubric. Now the QM Higher Education rubric has 8 core standards, which is what is listed at the top of the handout. Top right corner, 8 core standards. And each of the standards, of course, reflect area. The standards you have what is known as a specific review standards. And so the different standards, core standards are the course overview and introduction, learning objectives or competencies, assessment and measurement, instructional materials, course activities and learner interaction, course technology, learner support, accessibility, and usability. So as I said a while ago, each of the 8 core standards has sub-standards, which are known as specific review standards. Now, when it comes to the QM rubric, standards 2 to 6 are known as the alignment standards. Design your course, of course, following those standards. All those 5 standards align. So if you land on your course page and maybe look at the first chapter, it ought to be obvious to your colleague that the learning objectives, rather the assessment measurements, align with the learning objectives, the resources to deliver the content, which will enable the students aligns with the assessment measurements, the learning artifacts or methods used to interact with the learner, either interaction between the learner and the instructor, or interaction between the learner and other learners, also align with the objectives, and then the all other 4 objectives. So you want to make sure that everything kind of falls in place, and that the student is not misled, or the student does not get confused because and then when it comes to them, they are seeing something totally different. For that of assessing or ensuring that the student maybe know how to write, for example, or can write in a certain way. And when it comes to the assessment, the type of assessment you're going to use, you're going to use a quiz. How do you measure a student's writing skills with a true or false quiz or a multiple choice quiz? So in such an instance, there's no alignment. Key features of the QM rubric. If you look at here, I'll have it to you guys shortly. 1, 2, 3. Left states the specific review standards within each of the general standard, and then the middle column states the points for the specific review standard, and then the third column, which is the column to your right, speaks to the annotations. The annotations are simply the explanations about meeting can meet course. I'll take, for example, the first standard, the first general standard, course overview and introduction. So it says the overall design to the learner at the beginning of the course, and then specific review standard 1. Instructions make clear how to get started, where to find the various course components. And then, of course, the points awarded for that particular specific review standard is 3. And then the annotation gives you explanation. I, as an instructor or a faculty, can ensure that my course meets this standard. Information posted at the beginning of the course provides a general course overview, invites the learner to explore the course side and indicates what to do first, in addition to listing detailed navigational instructions for the whole course. So that's the description of the specific review standard. Now, how do I go about ensuring that my course meets that standard? You see that in the next paragraph. Instructors may choose to incorporate some of this information in the course syllabus, so that can be achieved within the course syllabus. In this case, learners should be directed to the syllabus at the beginning of the course. And so if there's detailed information in the syllabus as to how to navigate the course portal, but then I do not post a text which instructs the students to go to the syllabus, I've not met the standard, even though I have it somewhere. First. So somewhere at the beginning, on the front page, you want to maybe have a link which says, read this first, that you direct the students to the syllabus. So read me first, or study button or icon on the course homepage, linking learners to startup information. Now, if you were a peer reviewer and you're taking a look at the course of a colleague, what would you be looking for? And that's what we see next. It says, reviewers use the first visit to the course to experience what new learners encounter on the first visit to the course. Now, bear in mind the fact that, as far as QM is concerned, the design and delivery of the online course is learner-centered. So that's why, as a peer reviewer, as a colleague who is taking a look at the course of another colleague, you want to behave as though you're a student. You don't make any assumptions. So you approach the course as if you were a student enrolled in that class. You don't make any determinations. You don't make any interpretations. You don't say, oh, I think my colleague wanted my colleague was implying this. No, you look at it as a freshman student or sophomore student or junior, whatever be the level of the course. So reviewers use the first visit to the course to experience what new learners encounter on their first visit to the course. Look for clear directions on what to do first, where to find the syllabus, and how to navigate the course. Explicitly stated, and if they are not accessible, if they are not obvious, then of course, as a reviewer, you tell your colleague, I think you can improve your course. You don't tell them, oh no, this is a bad course. We are colleagues. I'm not more than you, you're not more than me. We're just trying to ensure that at the end of the day, we all have online courses which reflect best norms and practices. And so you tell your colleague, I think that if you were to do A, B, C, and D, that would improve the next section is examples of guidance to help learners get acquainted with the course. So you can have a clear statement about how to get started with the course. The course tour, I decided to create a video overlay, a scavenger hunt, and then an illustration, table, diagram, visual representation, or mind map that depicts the online and face-to-face portions of blended courses. Now, it is true that for the most part, this morning we'll be talking about online courses. But please, QM is not just for the QM rubric is not just used in or used for all. It's not used for online courses only. You can use that for blended or hybrid courses. So a blended or a hybrid course is a course in which part of the interaction happens in class and the part is online. Specific. You're going to do that for course, depending on how you have your course structure. So you don't just do it for one chapter and think that you're done. No, it's for every chapter or every unit or every module within the course, because at the end of the day, once you kind of implementing one specific review standard, you simply repeat that subsequent specific review standards. Now, another thing we need to note is the fact that when it comes to the specific review standards within the general standards, there are three types of specific review standards. There's what is known as essential review standards. Those are standards which are awarded 3 points each. And then there's what is known as the important review standard. Get awarded 1 point. When we get to the review process, we're going to talk about how reviewers get to use these points to determine if a course meets quality matters standards or not. Yes, sir.
So the department, the school, we have to follow that standard too.
Because we decided to become a QM institution.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was just thinking because we said, I guess the students have to look at it themselves. So I was wondering if they, the structure setting and then.
Within the online course for QM, you're still going to see this rubric. That's why I said at the beginning that when it comes to online course design and course delivery based on quality matters, you always want to have this by you. It's the main guide which we ought to use either when designing our courses or when reviewing courses of our colleagues. Any other questions?
Okay, so this refers to some things that, I mean, even I don't know how to do in JITs, like the read me first button. So are we going to have other workshops that show us how to do that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yes.
This isn't JITs, this is like Canvas or Blackboard, right? When we design our courses ultimately.
You'll be designing your course in JITs.
Okay.
Now,
So
the online course which we are going to do as a follow-up of this overview session is being delivered in the Canvas platform. Canvas is another learning management system.
right.
The reason is simple. You can easily get free access to Canvas. It's taking a couple of days. Any of you can have an account in Canvas and create your courses and do whatever you want to do there. So that's why it was easy for me to create the follow-up course of this session on Canvas. I simply created an account in Canvas, or was given access and created a course. I don't want to.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead again. All right, got it.
This don't pertain to that, but it pertains to
I'm just asking, is someone doing them for you now? Later.
No, it's been done. I just need to run over to the copy and.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll go get them for you.
Okay, it's in
Bring them
the
Yeah, I did them with the fair.
no institutional research.
Okay, I know what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Might be jumping ahead, but when we get into the Canvas course, who's going to be grading the actual assignments that we have to do? Is that?
I'll be taking a look at those and give you guys feedback.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're requesting for you guys to provide us with your names and email addresses. So you're going to receive, and once you get enrolled in the course, I was going to talk about that at the end, but since the question has come, once you get enrolled in the course, you're going to receive an email prompting you to accept the invitation to join the course. So at the beginning, we talked about the fact that one of the things which Quality Matters relies on is peer review. It's a peer review process. So it's colleagues taking a look at the courses which have been designed by their colleagues in the spirit of collegiality. So it's not like some superheroes coming to take a look at what we've done and to bully you know. It's just some other person like you having another look at your course to tell you, hey, maybe if you took it this way or that way, it's going to look a lot more better. And so how do we get to know it's effective? So I've done all of this work over, and I think I've done a hell of a job. But how do I know for sure, for certain, that might have spent all this time working, developing, designing is effective? How do I determine changes to be made? How do I go about deciding if I need to take out a specific video or not? If I have to add a hyperlink, if I have to add additional learning resources, how do I make that decision? There's a need for another person who has not been looking at the content to take a look at it and tell me, of course, from a student, I think you should do A, B, C, and D. Not like forcing you did a no. Trying to take the place of a student, someone like me, a colleague behave as if they look at my course, and of course, based on their interaction with my content, with the resources, either the handouts or the PowerPoint, in a position to tell me if the PowerPoint or the video objective assessments and measurements do not align with the course of and make modifications or to make a decision as to what to change in order to my online course. And so as we move forward, we're going to be taking a look at each other's course. And when it comes to the reviews, there are 3 types of reviews in Quality Matters. There's a self-review, there's the internal review, and then of course there's the official review. Self-review is you yourself or I taking a look at my course based on the site to the if there are enough instructions telling this, of course I'm looking at the general standard 1. So I look at general standard 1 is saying the overall design of the course is made clear to the. So I'm going to ask myself, is the design of my course made clear to the learner at the beginning? Once a learner lands on the home page of my, so I'm assessing myself. If the answer is yes, I move on to the next. If it is no, what do I need to do to ensure that I meet that standard? So I simply look at the annotations, and there are things there which I need to do. So I'm going to do with a self-review, I'm going to do that for all of the units or all of the chapters or all of the modules within my course. 1.1, 1.2, and for all of the general standards up to standard 8. It enables you to make an assessment of yourself, of what you've been doing, and places your course in a better shape or position or situation for any other person coming to take a look at it. So that's the self-review. You get to do this on a regular basis as often as you get into your course content or your online class. I want to suggest that as this process moves forward, you shouldn't decide to do the self-review, say, after you've completed the entire course design or at the end of the semester, or decide to do all of it in one day. You want to do a bit at a time. That way you're kind of doing it progressively or gradually. Then there is the internal review, which is what will be happening amongst us here. So you work on your course, or I work on my course, design the entire course, maybe a complete course with, say, 6 modules or 6 units or 12 modules or 12 units. However, you decide after that I do the self-review and I'm satisfied with myself, I'm satisfied with the job I've done. And of course, I want another pair of eyes. I want some other person to take a look at that. And so I will approach my colleague, come to you, hey, please, can you take a look at my course? Or you can get to meet with, say, 2 colleagues of yours and simply give them access to your online course. So that's an internal review. They're going to take a look at it and, of course, for the most part, the feedbacks are simply suggestions. It's not like there are things which you must at all costs do. So it's not like if you don't do this, if you don't do that, we're no longer colleagues. No, it's not in that. It's not in that. I think that if you were to do A, B, C, D, and E, of your online course will be improved. The experience of the learners or students who enroll in your course will be enhanced. I think that if you do this type of video, if you use this type of resource, again, the feedback is made as a form of suggestions. You're not above them, so you don't talk down on your colleague. There's actually a course on the peer review. There's a QM certification course on the peer review process. So for those who will get to do you probably will do one of those. Now, no matter how good looking my online course may be after I've done my self-review, no matter how properly and it may be after the internal review, it is not an official QM course. It is not certified as a QM. Simply because it has not yet received the official approval of QM, quality matters. So in order for my course, it has to go through the QM review process. And the process starts with that course to be reviewed. And of course, I mean, it's going to go through you, from you to head of the request is made to quality matters, then quality matters the reviewers. So in the review process, there's always a team of 3 reviewers who have been the QM to come and take a review of their course. They are not going to come. They do it remotely because it's online. So you simply grant them access to your online to your content. In the QM review team, which is made of 3 individuals, as I said a while ago, there's what is known as a master coordinating the review process. And then there's a subject matter expert, somebody who is knowledgeable about that particular area. For example, if someone who is, say, math, algebra course, and puts it online, and they opt to have their course to be QM certified. In the team of 3 reviewers, there's going to be a there's going to be a subject matter expert who is a mathematician. And then, of course, there's going to be the master reviewer, who is somebody, of course, who is knowledgeable about the QM review process. And then another reviewer who is not a who is not a subject matter expert. And usually they could come from different institutions or from institution. But these are people who are carrying out an assignment, a task which has been assigned by QM, not by the institution. Yes, sir.
So we build our own courses, we put in our own subject matter, and they review it. Is that what you're saying, like that?
You build your course, you design your want your course to have the QM stamp of approval. So once you're done with that, it's advisable that you do what is known as a self-review, self-assessment, self-evaluation. I went through this rigorous process of designing this online course. I followed all of the QM standards as stipulated or stated in the general standards, all of the 42 specific review standards. I think I've done the hell of it. I've done. And next, you want to have a colleague or a couple of your colleagues to take a look at this great job that you've done. The best it can possibly. Taking a look at it, and you've received their input or feedback, and you've gone down and made the changes, the suggestions, and you decide that you want your course to receive the QM approval. You want your course to be QM certified. Then, of course, following the channel which have been put in place by your institution, you're going to request for an official review. So your request is going to go to Quality Matters, which is based in Maryland. And then they're going to, in that regards, they're going to appoint 3 reviewers. One of those would be a subject matter about your area, the content. Sometimes when reviewers are working, put in something based on the subject or course you are teaching. But because I'm a reviewer and I don't know much about your area, I may say, oh no, I don't think this should be here. Then the subject matter expert will be like, oh no, in our area, in our discipline, this needs to happen, this needs to be here. So that's why there's the need for a subject matter expert. And then there's the course, the master reviewer, who is someone who has had a lot more experience in the QM review process, and who does the coordination of the review process. So once that is, once the request has been submitted to appointed or put in place, the master course reviewer will get in touch with you. So they will call you, officially reviewed, and these are the rules and regulations of the review process. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do A, B, C, and D, and we're going to need for you to grant us access to your online course. And then there's going to be, you guys are going to agree on the communication channel. You guys are going to be communicating by phone or by email or both. And then how often, what's the frequency? And then there's also they're going to talk about your availability. If they're looking at a unit or section on your course and they need some clarification, how soon can they get you? Are you going to be available in the mornings, the evenings? So all of that is going to happen during the initial phone conference between the master course reviewer, you, and the other 2 reviewers.
If somebody got one that's really pretty good, then it might not take it long to somebody say, well, let me try to find all the right equipment to put in there.
Correct. I mean, practice makes look at something they're better. So once I go through, say, designing the first chapter or the first unit or the first module, following the 8 standards, then it's going to be a lot more easier for the more easier for the third and a lot more easier for all of the other units and modules. And once I've successfully completed the design of the same processes and procedures for, or maybe just copying the course content and modifying. Because when it comes to online course design, everything has to be up and ready by the first day, before the first day of class. It's not like the teaching in class, in the class where you can just go into your classroom and teach something. For online, everything has to be pre-packaged. You're going to go through the entire even before the term or semester has started. All of the lessons, all of the resources, all of the quizzes, all of the assignments for all of the chapters or modules or units. And if you have, 6 or 12, that's on you. But everything has to be ready. You don't want your students to log in on the first day of class and there's nothing to be done. Any other questions with regards to the review process? Yes, sir.
You said there will be 3 reviewers from QM, subject matter, so who will be third?
Just a reviewer. Yeah. So a reviewer who is not a subject matter expert. In other words, they don't have a whole lot of experience when it comes to reviewing courses. Any other questions? Do we need a short break? Okay. And so when it comes to an official QM review process, we did say that you're going to be dealing with 3 different reviewers. The master course reviewer, subject matter expert, and another reviewer. These, of course, are all colleagues. They are those involved in the teaching process, just like you and myself. And so this is what an official course peer review process typically puts in place processes for course design. So faculty will develop and design courses and some rubrics such as the QM rubric. And then there's going to be self and internal reviews or reviewers, which will also be punctuated to enhance the quality of your course. And the peer review process kicks in, and then there's as a result of the peer review process, there's feedback. And then, of course, the feedback is implemented. If suggestions are made, there's course revision, and the course revision similar. I apply or someone applies this made. So once the course goes through the official review process successfully, then the course meets quality expectations. It becomes its level as a QM certified course. And so about making a determination and becomes is eligible to become a QM certified course. As we said a while ago, there are 42 specific review standards, general standards. Of those 42 specific review standards, 23 are what are known as essential review standards, 12 review standards, and then 1 important review standards. In order for your the course has to achieve a minimum of 85% after the review process. And as So there's a team of 3 reviewers, and the score is based on majority. And that's simply because during the review process, all of the reviewers take a look at specific standards. So 3 of us will take a look at review standard specific review standard 1.1, and each of us will make a determination. And because of my course get for that specific review standard is deduced based on the majority. Okay, so if we look at say specific review standard 1.1, which has what? Course or in order for the unit or the module or the chapter to earn the 3 points, there's got to be a majority of the 3 reviewers who get to make that determination. In other words, if 2 of the reviewers say that my unit or module complies or meets specific review standards, then I earn the 3 points because it's based on majority. But if 2 of those reviewers say I do not meet specific review standard 1.1 for that unit, then I don't earn the points.
You don't get any of them?
No, you don't get any.
So it's all or nothing?
Yes. Yeah. So when the 3 reviewers meet, they all take a look at each of the specific review standards. And the way they go about determining if your course or a unit or chapter the standards or not is based on majority. Since you complied with the allocations, then of course for specific review standard 1.1, you get the 3 points and get 3 points. If 2 determine that you did not get, if 2 determine that the unit or the chapter did not meet the specifications for 1.1, because it's a rule of, it's based on a rule of majority, I don't get the 3 points. That process gives me an opportunity to make the necessary corrections in order to get the points. So it's not like a done deal after the first review process. No, you're given an opportunity to go back and make amendments. Remember, it's a peer review process. It's designed for the improvement of the quality of the course. It's not being done to kind of eliminate you or disqualify you from. And so every time, every instructor or faculty is given an opportunity to make the necessary changes. And so usually they will give you there's a time, and they will come back and take a look at the changes you are required to make. So if at the end of the review process, the feedback is that I go back and make changes on say specific review standard, say 2.1, 3.3, and 3.4 days or weeks. At the end of that, when they come back, they're not going to take a look at the entire course all over. They're simply going to take a look at the areas where I was required to make changes. Okay. And then, of course, they will give me a final determination. Even though you may get a more or less, you are given an opportunity to make the changes. It's not like you're just kicked out. The awarding of points is based on point value, not a sliding scale. So it's like whole numbers. So in order for a unit or chapter or module to meet the standards to achieve QM. So sorry, in order for a course, not just in order for a course, in order for to become a QM course, you must meet all earn all what 69, 3 times 23 is what? Yeah, 69. all the 3 points in all of the standards. Number 2, your overall score has to be at least 85 out of 100. And so if I were to validate or do well in all 23 essential standards, and if I were to have more than 85 points or 85% and then miss just one of this, my course does not make it. Okay, so it's got all of the essential standards, in other words, all of the 23 essential standards, all of the standards which are awarded, which are allocated 3 points each, and then an overall total of 85 out of 100 or 85%. In order for my course to be certified a QM course. So as I said a while ago, during the review process, you're always given an they don't just come to you and talk over you and then just disqualify. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a peer review done in a it is as best as it possibly can. Any questions with regards to this? Yes.
How long does it take for the course to be peer reviewed? Like within a week or maybe month?
No, it usually takes about a month to 2 months, depending on if your course is, if you do a good job up front, an internal review, make the changes, the course is properly designed, it will take less time. It will take a shorter time. But if you don't do if I don't do due diligence, I don't design my course following the standards and the norms. I just want to kind of get over it. Then it's going to take me much because they're going to come and say, hey, you need to go back and make sure that this is in place, this is in place. It's going to take longer.
Okay, and another question, like only online courses have to be QM certified or classroom courses are also supposed to be QM certified?
Online and blended. And blended could be online. Now, if you're teaching a course in class which you anticipate teaching online, I would suggest that you I don't know if I'm communicating. You get my point. So if you are teaching a course and you 2 semesters or so, there's going to be an opportunity for you to teach that course online. Then you may want to start dealing with that course as if it's an online course. That way, when it's time for you to teach it online, you're pretty much ready. You don't have to go back and start doing because if you're posting content on Jakes, for example, those are handouts you're making available to students in an online platform. So you may as well just do that as if your class or course were an online course. It will not in any way negatively impact the students because they're in class. No, they still get to go to the portal. And then when it's time for you to teach your course online, you simply move the material to the online section online platform. Also, if you are teaching multiple sections of a course, some of the sections are in class and some of the sections are online. It's the same class, same content, same material. So the students who get to meet in class will be viewing the same content and the same material online. The only difference is of having for the class meeting for the on-campus section and then different content or different resources for the online session. Just have the you're teaching sections plus same content, same resources. So in that case, the content for the section meeting in class, if I were you, it would be the same as the content for the section meeting online.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So please, when you get the feedback and you maybe met 22 of the 23, and you have 90, you guys, nobody is penalizing you. They just wanted to make sure that your course meets the criteria for the. Okay? So, them. It's got to be, you want to make sure that the course in its entire design is learner. Course, you should be thinking about the student. You should be thinking of the student, not about you. When the student gets to is it easy for them to locate the resources, to understand exactly what you mean, the content, it should be course or laying out good or used from the students, what you want or what you think or what you know. They're also going to be looking at the user friendliness nature of the course. The navigation, in other words, jumping from, say, one page to another, from one resource to another. Is it user friendly? Is it readily accessible? We talked about ease of start, and then we talked about the fact that if it is properly designed, it should reduce frustration. And then, of course, if it is properly, it more or less increases or enhances the student engagement during the. Okay. In addition to following all of the rubric standards, in other words, the 8 general standards, the 4 standards, there are a couple of other things you want to bear in mind when it comes to the design of the online course. So teaching a class or a course online is not just about the change in the mode of going from face to face to online. That's not there's what may be termed a pedagogical shift. You're shifting from having to have discussions in class to having to design content which is learner-centered. Content which has the student in mind, content which is designed or displayed or configured from the student's perspective. You also want to ensure that there's a design consistency across the program. So if those of us in the same courses want to ensure that the layout is consistent, if we're in the same department and we're teaching different courses, all of those courses belong to that department. And our students, the students in that area are our students. So you don't want students to come to my area and have this layout, and then they come to your area, a different layout, and then you go to another colleague who's in the same department with us, a different layout. It's going to somehow and is consistent. It enhances the student's learning process. For example, if we decide that we're going to adopt a layout for which the is to the, I'm just taking an example, top left corner, And every time a student gets into the course in any of our courses, they more or less automatically know where to gravitate to, looking for something specific, because they've been used to seeing the same layout. But if for every class or section, they have to look for something every time they go there, because it's placed in a different position or different location, it kind of creates some form of frustration. You want to organize, they want to ensure that the system, similar scenario, similar situation. If the introduction is here, if the content in the video section or video column, I have the introduction, I have the objectives, and then I have the resources. Objectives. And then you jump to the introduction, and then all of that is placed to maybe the right hand consistency. Every time the student comes, they have to kind of try to look. If it's consistent when they log in, it's kind of just the ease of learning. Yes, ma'am.
It is that, but one of the problems this phone is not the way it looks on the desktop or the laptop, and that creates enormous problems because they simply cannot access certain things if they're only using their phone, and getting that across to them has been a challenge because I do a hybrid class. So.
When it comes to designing web content, usually when web pages or websites are designed, you kind of modify the content to suit mobile and desktop. Now, as faculty, we don't have access to the mobile, to the feature which will enable us to modify our content to appear or look properly on mobile devices. So there's a sense in which there's not much you can do about that, apart from telling the students use your computers, use the desktops in the labs.
Right.
Yeah, but I wanted to say a proper setting, you have the ability, or some other person will have the ability to modify your content such that it can easily be accessible on mobile devices.
Yeah, exactly.
As well as on computers, laptops, and desktops.
But
we don't
at
have.
least currently, JITS does not allow for that. So
Yeah.
It seemed to apply to this, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. You just have to keep on reminding them, use your desktops. Yeah, they usually send me emails. I could not do this on my phone. For example, if I require for them to complete an assignment and have it typed out in a Word document and upload that to JITS, they tell me they cannot do it on their phones. I said, yeah.
To be able to help them to be able to access that.
No.
I'm online now with my school, and I can actually access. I can't do the work, but I actually go in and check my grades, check different things and so forth. But I was just wondering if that's something in the future be added. It's just an IT thing.
Yes,
So something added.
Yeah, it can be done, but as I said a while ago, it's not at the level of
control.
Yeah.
Well, I got it.
That's the app.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, suggestions? Another principle is that of modularizing your content. You want to be able to have, say, modules or bi-weekly basis. However you do it, just make sure that you're consistent. You don't come up with section 1. We'll go to week 2, there's chapter 2. Then when it comes to week 3, there's module 4. It's,
oh, I see what you're saying.
yeah. So you consistent in the way you, for lack of a better word, in the way you group your content. So if you're dealing with chapters and you have, say, 12 chapters every week, if you're dealing with units, and a unit could be a chapter or a group of chapters, okay, you want to be talking about units throughout. If you're dealing with modules, and again, a module could be a group of chapters or either a module a week or a module every 2 weeks. However it is that you decide to lay, you should be consistent in that. You shouldn't have chapter here, section there, unit there, module there. Some will get it, but others will just be will get a bit confused. Okay. Another area confusion when it comes to online course design is the assessment and measures. There's going to be a lot more about this in the online component, but you want to make sure that you're using the example I used a while ago. You cannot be assessing a student's writing skills with a true false multiple choice quiz. You can't do that. So of course that will be So you want to make sure that you use the appropriate assessment measures for the specific levels, different direct or indirect. Okay, you are the master in your area, but you just want to make sure that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm seeing the discussion board rubrics, and I've been using one, or I have occasionally when I've done. And does Quality Matters have rubric, or do you just kind of have to look around and see what you can find?
You look around, see what you can find, and come up with yours. They will not impose anything on you, as long as your rubric enables you to assess the learning outcome, which
Okay. All right.
I had a question.
Sure.
Is this actually going to be accessed on through JIG, or we're going to get another program to do this Quality Matters? Or is JIG going to be updated to be able to meet the Quality Matters standard?
If I understand your question well.
Can I explain it?
I mean, I've used it before. I understand that, but I'm trying to be nice. So I'm trying to figure out a way to taught online before. I've done discussions and all that, right, for participation, because they have to. Don't. They're just gonna do the homework and be done with it.
Correct.
But I was just wondering, are
do that?
You answered my question.
Yes, sir.
No, that was it.
Okay.
That's the answer.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you certainly would have spent time designing this course, making sure that it adheres to best practices, norms and standards, QM standards, and it's a QM certified course. It doesn't end there. You've got to be able to ensure that students make the strategy, and that's where online teaching comes in. There are certain abide by or adhere to if you want to be effective in teaching online, in delivering content online. There's a handout for this. You guys will have access to it in the online version of this workshop. But a couple of things we want to be doing while we are teaching courses. In a course which meets in class, of course, you get to show up in class at your scheduled time. If your class meets Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10 to 10:50, You show up on Mondays at 10, you show up on Mondays, on Wednesdays at 10, you show up on Fridays at 10. So students are, quote unquote, used to seeing you on those days and at those times. So there's a certain expectation which has been created in the student's mind, that of seeing you, of course. We're referring to ideal students, right? That of seeing you on those days, students are like, okay, on Monday, my teacher will show up at 10 o'clock for the class. On Wednesday, because the schedule says so, the teacher will show up at 10 o'clock and teach. On Friday, they're going to show up at 10 o'clock and teach. In the online class, there is no schedule because it's online, it's virtual, it's open-ended. But you want to be able to do things which will make the students acknowledge your presence in the online environment, in the online class. You shouldn't just, okay, I took time to design this course, it's pre-packaged, and kind of set the course in order. It's all there, it's a QM certified course, it's a superb course, it's fantastic. I'll come at the end of the semester to post the final grades. It doesn't work like that. You have to, just as the students get to get the expectation of seeing a teacher, you should function in the online class to create that expectation and awareness. Yes.
Is there a way to see how long they were online?
Yes, you can always pull up an activity report. Activity report, it will tell you how much time, it will tell you if a student logged in, how much time they spent in the class, in the portal. You get that from the activity report.
Mm-hmm.
Classes, seeing the discussion forums. So if you create a discussion topic, a prompt, and the students are kind of giving their responses and feedback, you can go in and read through what they're saying, also make your own point. That way, it will be obvious to them that you are there. Okay, the teacher comes in and takes a look at our discussions. You are part of the learning process. Leave it there and whatever it is that you want to do. So that's one of the ways of ensuring that you show up and teach. You show up and you're actively involved in the students' learning process, even though in class you pretty much had done the work or the job of ensuring that the course is properly designed. The next is that of practicing proactive course management strategies. You want to be taking a look at the students, at the assignments, seeing those who are completing, those who are lagging behind, the quizzes, those who are doing the quizzes. Sometimes you may think that you have turned on a discussion. So I'm taking an example because it happened to me. I posted a discussion. So I sent out an email. This week we'll be doing this. We'll be doing unit this. And in order to complete unit this, you need to read the web content. You need to watch the video lessons. And then these are the tasks to be completed. Discussion, I think it was discussion 9, quiz 9, assignment 9. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. And so I think a couple of hours after that, I got an email from the student. Oh, I logged in, I went to the class, but I wanted to complete my discussion, but I could not see the discussion. It wasn't available. Of course, I went in and checked. So even though I had posted a discussion, I did not make it active. So if I was not checking, if I was not managing, the student's email will be sitting there and I'll be gone. And then when I come in next week to say, okay, this week we're doing this, I will realize that no student had responded to the discussion. But by taking a look at the discussions, taking a look at the students' queries or emails, responding to those, you kind of get to manage or take care of issues which pop up or come. Okay. Establish patterns of course activities. we are all used to patterns. We like having certain patterns or certain ways. We like doing things we are used to doing. In the morning, I get up at this time, I do this, by this time, I get to work. At say 10 o'clock, I do this. You want to ensure that there is a pattern in your course activities. It enhances the learner's experience. If they are used to having quizzes, assignments, and tests, say every week or every other week, then that creates a pattern in their minds. Unconsciously, they kind of get to know it psychologically that okay, I'll be required to complete a quiz, an assignment, and a test at the end of this week or at the end of every other week. You shouldn't come this week on a Wednesday, you give a quiz. Then the other week, on a Monday or Tuesday, you give a test. Then week 3 on Sunday, you're just creating disorder in the students' minds. It's going to disrupt the learning process, and it's going to negatively impact their grades or performance. So you may have spent that much time designing this course certified norms and standards. You did due diligence, you design that everything should just flow smoothly. Unfortunately, we are not in an ideal environment. Things happen. You want to anticipate of things which may go wrong or things which may happen, and proactively take care of that. I want to think of a scenario which went through. So let's assume that one of the resources which the students have to access and complete an assignment or a task is on another website. Okay, so it's not a resource which you actually uploaded on the learning management system. It's a web-based resource. In other words, it's a different platform, a different website. So in your course design, you actually included the link to that website, and so you put in place clear instructions for students to click on that link and to navigate or to move to that site. Everything being equal, things should work. So when a student comes to your course page and click on that link, they should be carried to that website or web page to access that resource. Well, now, then is on the learning management system. You do not have control over the campus network. Okay, IT manages that. And so IT may have inadvertently put in place a firewall, or they may have put in place settings in the firewall which blocks access to that particular website. You don't work at IT, so you didn't know. And so when your students come to the learning management system, to your class portal, and click on that link, they get a message, access denied. So one of the ways you can anticipate and plan for such an unseen or unforeseen is maybe emailing the link to the students. Link handy. Let me use. You want to have the link to that website readily accessible. That way, if such an issue comes up, you're not in the office, you're not in class, but because you had proactively accessible, you can immediately email that link to the students. Okay, so that would be an example, for lack of a better example, an example of you planning for the unplanned, planning for the unknown. Okay. Response requested and expected. Students, again, in a class, in a course which meets in class, students get to see you and ask their questions. They see you right there, and sometimes You can look at the student's facial, determine that they have some doubts in their mind, and then you kind of ask them, do you have a question, and they go ahead in their mind. Do not have that luxury, so to speak. And the way they get to make their concerns known to you is by email or by phone or by whatever communication method you have put in place in your online course. You want to make sure that you respond to students' requests or inquiries in a timely manner. For most online courses, I think the requirement is that online faculty respond to students' concerns and inquiries within at most 24 hours. If a student sends an email and they don't get a feedback from you, and it negatively impacts their learning process. Again, you don't want to give a student blaming you for their performance or searching forever. They've not responded. You want to in 24 hours. Yes, ma'am.
That's during the week, correct?
Okay, again, this so there's within I think where there's a section that which talks about communication. Yeah, so you want to clearly state how you go about communication, how to by phone, get responses from you. So you can state, for example, that okay, if you say that I'll respond to emails, say I'm just taking an example, at 9 a.m. in the morning and at 9 p.m. At 10 a.m. The earliest you can get a feedback will be around 9 p.m. If you send an email to me, say at 10 p.m., and then it was after 9 p.m., based on what I have stated in the communication protocol, the earliest you can get a feedback from will be around 9 a.m. You may also want to state, usually I tell my students, don't send me an email during the weekend. Or if you send an email to me during the weekend, do not expect a response, a feedback. Now that does not mean that if I happen to go to my email address and the email is there, I should not respond. What I'm telling the student is, do not expect a feedback because it's my weekend. I'm with my family. I've just said that. So yeah, you have to kind of state all of that up front so the student know the expectations and know exactly when to be expecting a response of. Any other concerns? Think before you write. Again, this is all about the content you put in place. And in as far as think before you write is concerned, you also want to put in place what may be known as you also take part in the discussion forum.
Right.
So you want to be able to think through what you're going to put out there, either in the content, the class content, or in the discussion forum before writing it. If a student writes something inappropriate, it may not be considered much of a gravity as opposed to you writing something inappropriate. So think through what you have to put out there before putting it out there. You also don't want to go and make promises or put in place some communication protocol without having thought through it as to whether you're going to go ahead to that or not. If you tell students, I'm going to be responding to your emails within at most 24 hours, and you didn't sit down to think through that, given your workload or circumstances, and then students send emails or questions, other things, but you failed to think through when you are putting in place the communication protocol. You write. A student is late in submitting an assignment. Okay, they are late, 1 week late or 2 weeks late. Immediately they submit it. What's my grade? What did I earn? they forget the fact that it was submitted late, and that maybe the grading also should come in late. They don't buy that. Immediately they submit it, oh, what's my... Simply because somewhere, somehow, they want to move forward. Okay? They want to know where they stand, and they have to know what to do to be where they should be. That's me coining it that way. But ensuring with you grading the assignments when they should be graded. And so when it comes to you communicating to your students, you communicating the expectations to the students. You also want to let them know how soon you'll be grading the assignments. Is it within a week, within a couple of days? And please, in online, you shouldn't have to wait for up to 1 week to grade an assignment. Of course, the computer-based quizzes and tests, those get taken care of by the computer. But something which you have to go and grade manually, you want to do that within at most 1 week. And that is because, especially for those students who are good students, they want to know where they are as of now to be where they should be with upcoming assignments. You don't want to, it doesn't look pleasant for a student to have completed 2, 3, 4 assignments and not know their grade for each of those assignments. You are more or less slowing down, so to speak, the students' enthusiasm. If you were to grade a student's assignment now and they did energize to move on to the next, be maintaining forward safe and secure environment. Safe and secure environment. Some of the resources we use, as I mentioned in the plan for the unplanned, some of the resources will be using or referencing for the students could be out of our learning management system. Okay, and because those resources are not within our learning management system, our IT department does not have control over those resources. And when it comes to the internet, there's tons and tons of things out there. You want to make sure that your students, of course, are in a safe and secure online environment, be it within the learning management system, platform which you kind of use for your content. So if you're having your students to access resources or material on a platform over which you don't have control, if you want to put them on guard, just let them know that when they go in, for example, I tell my students, okay, because when you're out there, anything can pop up. You don't have to click on that. Just do what you're supposed to, or watch the video lesson on YouTube and get done with it. If you're asked, if a message pops up asking you to make a payment, no, you're not required to pay for that resource. It's free. A phone number or social security number, you don't do that. That if you're from different from your learning management system, they are safe and secure to an extent, as much as you possibly can guide them. Counts. This points back to ensuring that the content is of the utmost quality. Okay, you don't just want to put material out there because you're designing an online course. Last but not the least, double click a mile on my connection. All what that implies is you want to double check and make sure that resources you have in place, for example, in the computer lab, in case you're going to request for the students to use the lab for testing, for resources which the students will be using are such for more online learning platforms, as faculty, you have the ability to be able to see what is to be able to access the content as if you were a student. So you change from enables you to kind of experience the technology as the students will be experiencing it. That's what this is all about. We have in place the learning management system, the internet connectivity. If they have to download some PowerPoints or have to download some application, you want to experience. That's what this double click. You're going through all of that as if you were a student, ensuring that the links are working, ensuring that they download, ensuring that they're able to get out to the learning management system. Again, you have to do all of this. Starts, and of course, while the course is in progress. If we do this, then there should be the students and the learners should have a seamless learning experience, an enhanced learning experience, success. Courses will be taught either by us or by colleagues. Any questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
Do you already have a QM certified course, like where we can go and see the tablet?
Yes.
One looks like, yeah.
So can you send us the link so we can apply that?
Okay. I see what I did not get your question. Okay. You're asking, okay, if I have a QM certified course.
Yeah. Available somewhere we can go.
Unfortunately, I don't have one because my institution, we lost our QM membership. So yeah, when we started and then things didn't move forward. So even though I got two certificates with QM, I didn't get to the point of getting my course QM certified because the institution is no longer a QM institution. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But once for those of you who will be doing will be enrolled in some of the QM certification courses which are offered by QM itself, you actually get to play with courses. You get to play with, you get to do the certification course. So they're going to give you a course which does not meet the standards. You're going to have to, like the peer review course, which is the peer review certification course. In that course, they will give you a course which does not meet standards. So you're going to go in and review the course and then make your recommendations or feedback. And then at the end of the certification process, they now show you a course, the completed course, which is now QM certified. I don't know if I'm good. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. But we don't get to see one until the end of that. So
yeah.
So it's not like
as a QM institution, they I'm going to talk to her, but you guys can also talk to her. So as QM courses, QM certified courses.
Kind of far ahead.
But it's just this.
I know, but what does this actually look like?
Yeah. Of course, what you currently have on JIX is not that much different from this. You may just have to go in and make a couple of tweaks or changes.
Like the whole getting started thing.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to put the 1.1 in there. You just follow.
No, you just follow. You don't put 1.1. It's the reviewer who will come and then they'll look at 1.1. Instructors make clear how to get started and where to find various courses. Then I'll look how to get started and how to get various. Then on the rubric, on the grading rubric, I'll say 1.1.
So you can access this if you click on this button and right at the very
top. So if you determine that a unit or module meets a specific review standard, you have to give your reason. So say based on the fact that I went on this page, I saw this here, I saw this, I saw this, I saw this. I make the determination that this module meets review standard 1.1.
your PowerPoint attachment? Because, or do they just want the verbiage? Do they want the whole course with your PowerPoints and all that attached to it?
The whole course with the verbiage and the resources, instructions as to how PowerPoint, and then there should be detailed instructions telling the students or pointing the students to the PowerPoint.
But
And then
what about when they're reviewing it?
when they are reviewing it,
They're reviewing the whole thing all finished that the student's going to see.
yeah, so they come in as if they were students. So when you'll be reviewing, say, my course, you'll be looking at it as if you were a student, not as if. Are you able to navigate? Are you able to pull up the PowerPoint? Is the PowerPoint related to the unit you're in? Does the PowerPoint speak to the objective which you're assessing, which is stated? So yeah, you look at it as from the student perspective, not.
When we do online courses, we go week by week. And it's not going to be whole course. When student comes into the class, reviewer, we have to prepare whole course so that they can review everything at the same time. Is that right?
Whole course for the. The only difference sections or units may not be available at a particular point in time. Yes, you may want to decide that.
We'll make inactive.
Yes, but all of the content has to be pre-packaged, ready
for reviewer.
For reviewer and for
as well as students.
Yes, sir.
You know, I teach entirely remotely for another institution, and that institution didn't buy into Calling Matters, but we aligned with the standards. So if you want to see those courses that I have designed, I'll show it to you.
Could you email that to me?
Well, you have to log in my account to see it. Or you have to be a student of the institution to see it. But if Ms. Johnson, if you want to talk to somebody, hire up, and I can gladly show an example of courses.
Yeah, that's what we want.
You don't need to talk to somebody higher up.
Okay.
This is a learning community of faculty. So as we move forward, there will be say groups within departments, courses which we stand the work session.
Yeah.
And during that, put your course on the
So
screen.
we can share between, like, Texas College?
No. In his case, he's going to log into his account and display his course on the screen.
In a workshop setting where you've got a group of people looking at it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He doesn't need permission. He doesn't need permission to go and teach at his institution. No, he's just kind of sharing his experience. That's part of collegiality.
And then my wife ran down and she did the training. Because UTRGV is certified through Calling Matters.
Any other questions, comments, suggestions?
We will as we go along.
Yeah.
We've got your information.
Yeah. But of course, so we're going to online. Did everyone sign in?
Yeah.
No.
So please make sure you sign in your name and email address.
Back table by the phone.
Oh, okay.
Your name and receiving an invitation to enroll in a course, which of course is this the continuation of this. It's this right here. Let me.
Okay.
information.
So it's going to be, so you guys will see. So it's going to be this course right here. Once I receive you guys, if you'll be invited to enroll in this course. So watch out for an email from Canvas. So please make sure you write out your email properly. And
You saying it's going to be from where?
Canvas is another platform which I'm using. That's simply because it was easier for me to go in and create the course. If I had to do it on Jigs, it would have taken a bit more time because I have to go through IT. And this, you just go to Canvas and create an account, and they give you access to the platform.
So is this course like through Quality Matters, the course we have to take?
No. This is not a Quality Matters certification course.
Okay.
This is something the VP created for us to yes, for us to have a hands-on.
Okay.
But there's going to be Quality Matters certification courses. I don't know how she's going to handle that. I don't know much about it.
Those are very intensive.
If it's on campus, it's 8 hours, the whole day, start to finish. And so as we move forward, if at any point in time you need to reach out to me, that's my phone number and email address.
Online course, or is that something that Dr. Taylor can shoot to us in an email?
Both. I'm going to give it to her, and then we're also going to have it on the online course, the PowerPoint and the video recording.
Okay. Right. I forgot about that. Never mind.
Any more questions, concerns?
Are you going to be teaching the afternoon session?
The afternoon we'll be doing a watermark. It's not watermark is a platform for assessment collection of data.
Are you going to be?
Yeah. Okay, if no additional questions, we're done with the QM for today.